Picture this: the smell of wood smoke curling through the air, a glint of fire dancing on coals, and a slab of meat so tender it practically melts the second it touches your tongue. Long before backyard grills, football Sundays, or cold beers on hot afternoons, humans discovered a primal truth. Fire transforms meat. This isn't just cooking, this is alchemy. And every time someone says, "Man, that BBQ hits different," they're echoing a story that spans centuries, continents, and cultures. The word BBQ itself has roots in the Caribbean, with the Taíno people using the term barbacoa to describe a method of slow cooking meat over wooden racks above an open flame. The Spanish explorers who arrived in the New World adopted the word, and over time, it morphed into the English barbecue, and later, the modern abbreviation we all know and love, BBQ. But this story isn't just about a word. It's about survival, innovation, culture, and identity. Every bite, every smoke ring, every sticky sauce-drenched rib tells a story. And to understand why barbecue is one of the most beloved food traditions in America, we need to go all the way back to where it all started. Long before the first colonies, before railroads or stockyards, humans had already discovered fire as a cooking tool. Early humans learned that roasting meat over flames made it safer to eat, easier to digest, and infinitely more flavorful. But true barbecue, the kind that would define American culture, was born not in a prehistoric cave, but on the Caribbean islands, where the Taíno people used raised wooden platforms to slow cook meat over a fire. This method, known as barbacoa, wasn't just about flavor, it was a survival strategy. By keeping the meat elevated above flames, smoke could circulate evenly, preserving the meat while infusing it with a deep, complex taste. Spanish explorers, encountering this technique in the late 1400s, carried the term into Europe and the American colonies. The first written records of barbacoa appear in Spanish chronicles from the early 16th century, describing indigenous methods of cooking whole animals over a controlled fire. This wasn't primitive experimentation, it was genius. The combination of heat, smoke, and time turned tough cuts of meat into tender, flavorful feasts. The Europeans who came to the Americas would later bring their own culinary techniques, combining the indigenous methods of smoking meat with their own traditions of roasting and seasoning. But the magic of slow-cooked, smoked meat remained central. In essence, the word barbecue tells you everything you need to know. This is food that is cooked over fire, with patience, precision, and purpose. Once the Spanish introduced barbacoa to Mexico and the southern parts of what would become the United States, the technique began to adapt to new climates, livestock, and tastes. In Mexico, barbacoa evolved into forms such as barbacoa de cabeza, where entire goat or lamb heads were cooked slowly in pits covered with maguey leaves. The method blended indigenous smoke cooking techniques with European livestock practices, creating flavors that were both bold and nuanced. Meanwhile, as the English and French settled in the American South, they brought pigs, which thrived in the forests of Virginia and the Carolinas. Pigs provided an abundant source of meat for communal gatherings, political rallies, and harvest festivals, turning barbecue from a survival tactic into a central social tradition. Early colonial diaries mention whole hog barbecues at celebrations, demonstrating that barbecue was already more about the ritual and community than the mere act of cooking. The African American community played a pivotal role in shaping what would become Southern barbecue. Enslaved pitmasters refined these techniques, combining indigenous smoke methods with African spice traditions. Their expertise turned low and slow cooking into an art form, one that transformed the texture, flavor, and aroma of every cut of meat. They perfected the smoke ring, the bark, and the precise balance of fat and heat, and yet, much of this contribution went historically uncredited, even as it laid the foundation for what barbecue is today. Barbecue in this era wasn't a simple recipe, it was a complex, multi-layered process shaped by necessity, skill, and culture. By the 1800s, barbecue had diverged into distinct regional styles, each reflecting the geography, livestock, and cultural influences of its area. In the Carolinas, where pigs were plentiful, barbecue focused on pork and vinegar-based sauces. The acidity of the sauce cut through the fatty richness of the meat, providing balance and punch. In South Carolina, German and French settlers introduced mustard-based sauces, known today as Carolina Gold, which added a tangy complexity to the local barbecue. In Texas, where cattle were abundant, brisket and beef became the centerpiece. German and Czech immigrants brought smoking techniques and sausage traditions, adapting them to the open prairies and abundant cattle. In Memphis, barbecue centered on pork ribs, either dry rubbed with spices or basted with sweet, tangy sauce, reflecting a confluence of local tastes and river trade that brought in sugar, molasses, and flavor influences from far afield. Kansas City, in turn, became the melting pot of barbecue styles, with Henry Perry introducing sweet, thick, tomato-based sauces that would define KC-style barbecue and set the stage for a citywide obsession with smoked meats. Each region developed its own philosophy. In Central Texas, barbecue was about simplicity, brisket rubbed with salt and pepper and smoked over post oak, letting the meat's natural flavor shine. East Texas favored fall-off-the-bone pork with a heavier sauce. Memphis perfected dry rub and wet sauce ribs, creating debates still alive today about which method reigns supreme. The Carolinas emphasized tangy, vinegar-based whole hog barbecue, sometimes sweetened with tomato or mustard. Kansas City combined all these elements, embracing diversity and variety, making sauce as important as smoke. Texas barbecue is legendary, and for good reason. The state's cattle culture, combined with German and Czech immigration, created a unique barbecue philosophy. Respect the meat, let the smoke do the work, and don't overcomplicate it. Central Texas brisket, seasoned simply with salt and pepper, smoked over post oak for hours, is a lesson in patience, precision, and restraint. East Texas embraced saucier, more fall-apart pork, reflecting southern influences. West Texas favored direct heat mesquite grilling, bold, rustic, and cowboy-like. In South Texas, Mexican influences persisted, keeping barbacoa and other traditional preparations alive. Texas barbecue tells the story of the land, its people, and their work ethic. It's a reflection of a state that values independence, pride, and authenticity. Memphis, Tennessee, developed a reputation as the city of pork ribs. Here, the battle of dry versus wet ribs became a defining characteristic. Dry ribs were seasoned with spice rubs, smoked until a flavorful crust formed, and served without sauce. Wet ribs were basted in tangy, sweet sauces, creating a caramelized exterior that dripped with flavor. This duality isn't just about technique, it's about identity. Memphis barbecue grew around the Mississippi River, which brought molasses and sugar, feeding a culture of sweetness and tang. The city also became a hub for competitions, most notably the World Championship Barbecue Cooking Contest, drawing pitmasters from across the globe, each vying to perfect smoke, bark, and flavor. In Memphis, barbecue isn't just food, it's civic pride, heritage, and a competitive art form. In 1908, a man named Henry Perry, originally from near Memphis, opened a simple barbecue stand in an alley in Kansas City. He sold slow-smoked meats to working-class stockyard employees, introducing sweet, molasses-laden sauces that would become Kansas City's hallmark. Perry's approach was egalitarian. He served all comers, creating a cultural and culinary hub in the city. After he passed, his employees and apprentices carried on his legacy, with restaurants like Arthur Bryant's and Gates becoming absolute institutions. One accidental innovation: the burnt ends of brisket was originally just considered scraps, but they quickly became a regional delicacy. Kansas City barbecue really represents the culmination of American BBQ evolution. It's diverse, it's sweet, it's smoky, and it celebrates both innovation and tradition. But barbecue is about so much more than just the meat. It's about wood, smoke, seasoning, and a whole lot of patience. Post oak in Texas, hickory in Kansas City, pecan in the Carolinas. Each type of wood imparts its own unique identity. The sauces are like regional signatures, from the tangy Carolina vinegar to the molasses-sweet Kansas City style. Beyond the incredible flavors, barbecue carries immense cultural weight. It's a blend of African-American innovation, European immigrant influence, Native American tradition, and pure American ingenuity, all wrapped up in smoke and fire. Every single time a family gathers around a pit, or a church hosts a pig roast, or a festival fills the air with the aroma of smoked meat, barbecue is telling the story of the people who built it, refined it, and loved it. Today, barbecue has gone global, from Korean galbi to Argentine asado to South African braai. The core principles of smoke, fire, and slow cooking resonate all over the world. But American barbecue is truly special. It's regional, historical, and deeply, deeply cultural. People will travel thousands of miles for that perfect brisket, a whole hog, or a heaping plate of burnt ends. Barbecue competitions, museums, and festivals all celebrate this craft, elevating it from humble street food to an art form worthy of serious study and admiration. Every bite you take is a direct connection to centuries of culinary tradition, regional pride, and human ingenuity. It's a taste of history itself. So the next time someone says, "Oh, it's just barbecue," you can tell them this. It's not just food. It's history. It's identity. It's the legacy of indigenous peoples, European settlers, African American pitmasters, and regional pioneers. Every smoke ring, every piece of bark, every sauce-laden bite carries centuries of stories within it. It's culture you can actually taste, and it's a tradition that's absolutely worth celebrating. If you're hooked on this journey, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and leave a comment sharing which regional BBQ you'd ride across states to taste. Because this story isn't over, and trust me, the smoke's only getting thicker.